Good morning.
Good morning.
We'll go ahead and call the regular session of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors, also sitting as all special taxing district, May 5th, 2025 at 9 a.m. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Supervisor Lyons, can you please read it?
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to call to the public. Call to the public is held for public benefit to allow individuals to address issues within the board's jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified in the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or scheduling the matter for further discussion and decision at a future date. Public comments may be made in person or submitted by email at publiccomments@yumacountyaz.gov. The email forms of public comments will be accepted until 8 a.m. the morning of the meeting. All public comments will be read out loud during the Yuma County Board of Supervisors meeting that starts at 9 a.m. Do we have any emails?
We did not receive any email comments.
And I got two speaker forms, but I mentioned, you want to wait till I open that item?
Bobby,
Bobby and Jack?
do you guys want to wait till the item or do you want to talk right now? Okay.
Anybody else from the public that wishes to address?
I'd like to ask a question. What happened to the Gary Black plaque? You'll come in or?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Reyes, I believe that is scheduled for the May 18th, 19th meeting.
Thanks.
Yep.
See, I'll bring it back to the board. Thanks. We'll move on to presentations, proclamations, and appointments. No appointments.
No?
And we do have a couple of proclamations. We'll do item number one. Chairman proclaims the day of May 14, 2025 to be Facilities Management Day in Yuma County.
Okay. See,
Supervisor Simmons.
proclaiming the day of May 14th, 2025 as Facilities Management Day in Yuma County. Whereas the facilities management is a profession dedicated to ensuring the functionality, comfort, safety, sustainability, and efficiency of the buildings in which we all live and work. Whereas facility managers perform and oversee a variety of essential functions, including cleaning, security, maintenance, grounds management, emergency response, project management, and sustainability planning. And whereas organizations such as the International Facility Management Association serve the global facility management community through learning, networking opportunities, and leadership skills to empower facility managers to solve challenges today and in the future. Whereas World Facilities Management Day recognizes the efforts of the facilities management professionals to influence the health, safety, and productivity and well-being of people who utilize the environment. Whereas Yuma County is grateful for the positive impacts facility managers have on our infrastructure, the safety of our population, and our economy. And whereas it is fitting and proper to recognize the efforts of organizations and individuals working to ensure a safer built environment, happy and healthy occupants, and sustainable world. Now, therefore, the day of May 14th, 2025 is hereby proclaimed to be Facilities Management Day in Yuma County, and I just want to compliment our facilities manager and her entire team for the job they do. They do an outstanding job for the county.
Good morning, Chairman Porteous, members of the board, Tiffany Anderson, Facilities Management Director. Thank you for taking this moment to recognize facilities professionals. There are men and women working very hard worldwide to provide safe, comfortable, and functional buildings for all of us to continue being productive every day. So I encourage you to please Next week on May 14th, join me in thanking a facilities management professional in your life. They are often the unseen, behind the scene workforce that normally you don't think about unless there's a light bulb that's out or a toilet that's not functioning or a stain on the carpet. So please take that moment when you see them, whether it's in your personal life or in your professional life, and join me on May 14th in saying thank you to each and every one of them.
Or your air conditioning isn't.
Or your air conditioning, especially as we get to 100 degrees this week. I'm going to ask my supervisors to join us for this recognition.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Be careful if you're standing by Tony, you might lose your wallet. I just wanted to be you at the club, Sharon.
Hold it down. Hold it down.
One more time.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, no te dijera que ya habías pasado.
There's no escaping Lynn. She'll chase you down.
Yeah, she'll follow you until.
Down.
You know how hard it was for me to go like this at COVID? Oh, man.
Moving on to item number 2, Chairman proclaims the week of May 6th to the 12th, 2025 to be Nurses Week in Yuma County. We have
All right.
Supervisor
Proclaiming the week of May 6th to the 12th, 2025 as Nurses Week in Yuma County. Whereas registered nurses in the United States constitute our nation's largest healthcare profession and meets the emerging healthcare needs of the American population in a range of settings, including hospitalized and non-hospitalized patients. And whereas the National Nurses Association, as the voice for professional registered nurses in this country, is working to chart a new course for a healthy nation that relies on increasing access to primary and preventative health care. Since the demand for registered nursing services is becoming greater due to the aging of the American population, emerging health challenges, and continuing expansion of life-sustaining technologies, and the growth of the home health care services. And whereas more qualified registered nurses are needed in the future to meet these increasing complex needs of healthcare consumers in this community and are important to the United States healthcare delivery system now and in the future. And whereas, along with the American Nurses Association and the Rio Colorado Yuma Chapter 7 has declared May 6th through the 12th as Nurses Week with the theme of the power of nurses, with appreciation for nurses' impact and their contributions to healthcare. Now, therefore, the week of May 6th to the 12th, 2025 is hereby proclaimed as Nurses Week in Yuma County, and encourage residents of Yuma County to join us in honoring the registered nurses' effort to improve our healthcare system and show our appreciation for the nation's registered nurses. I got a postcard today from a gentleman that talked about the need for healthcare and supporting our healthcare people. It's in my box, so.
We have Marilyn, or do you want to say a few words or address?
I would love to. Thank you. Good morning,
Morning.
Chairman Porteous.
And thank you Supervisor Pancrazi for reading the proclamation, and Supervisor Lyons, Supervisor Reyes, and my District 3 Supervisor Darren Simmons. Thank you for letting us be here today. My name is Marilyn Whittington. I am a proud registered nurse. I am here today with other fellow members from our chapter and other community nurses. We are the Rio Colorado Yuma chapter, which falls under the Arizona Nurses Association in the state, and then under the national umbrella of the American Nurses Association. It is the ANA, that was the ANA. They initiated and annually proclaims May 6th through May 12th as National Nurses Week every year. May 12th also happens to be the birthday of Florence Nightingale. And I wish today we would have maybe carried we have lamps.
Oh, how cute.
Just in recognition of Florence. The ANA represents the voice of its membership of 2.7 million registered nurses. Their work, though, represents all nurses in the United States, and that's 4.4 million nurses. And we actually need more. The ANA is the professional nursing organization as it advocates for all roles as a registered nurse in all fields and careers, including the advanced practice roles of nurse practitioners, certified nurse midwives, clinical nurse specialists, and certified nurse anesthetists. The ANA amplifies the voices of nurses across America to drive change and ignite a new era in nursing. It is nurses who are skilled and affecting change for the best interest and safety of all the patients and their access into health care, as well as advocating for change for legislation to allow advanced practice RNs to seek their independent scope of practice. Nurses are the bedrock of healthcare. Who better to be at the forefront of this change than nurses? It is fitting for this year's 2025 ANA theme for Nurses Week as the power of nursing. The National Nurses Week proclamation is to recognize and celebrate all the nurses, RNs, LPNs, all nurses across the country in the various roles that we hold. From Florence Nightingale to the present, the ANA has been our organization since 1896, just a little over 125 years. We are proud to have a chapter nurse member on the city council. She's not here today, but we have a community RN who's here today. She is the deputy mayor councilwoman. As part of the ANA campaign this week, One City Plaza is going to be lit up. This will be the first time in Yuma. It will be lit up at night to signify National Nurses Week. So that starts the 6th tomorrow through the 12th. There will be approximately 100 buildings across the nation that will be lit up. There are 3 of them in Arizona. This is the first. Yuma, Yavapai Medical Center in Prescott, and Mayo Clinic in the Phoenix area, FYI. So drive through not through the building, drive around the building during Nurses Week and thank your nurses. We thank you for allowing us here today to share our story with the Yuma County Board of Supervisors and the public who are here today. And if there's any other nurses here, the same to them. We always strive to continue to earn the trust of the public for nursing and healthcare. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And
Right? I'm gonna go back to work to be led.
Yes, you ladies in the middle.
Our pink and green look good then. There we go.
Oh, wait.
Oh, one more.
Okay, ready? One.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, hell no. You gotta work. Yeah, well.
We'll go ahead and move on to item number 3, presentation of the mix with Yuma County by Yuma 77 and the Yuma County Government Channel.
Welcome to The Mix. Exciting Yuma County park upgrades are on the way, just in time for summer. New shade structures are coming to Foothills Community Park, Foothills Optimist Park, and Gadsden Park. Fencing will be placed around play structures in preparation for the upgrades aimed at making your playtime cooler and more enjoyable. Construction is expected to be completed in late May. The Yuma County Public Health Services District is offering 114 free swim lessons to local children ages 6 months to 5 years, aiming to reduce the risk of drowning amongst the most vulnerable age groups. This marks the second consecutive year of the program with 225 lessons provided over 2 years. Registration opens May 5th, 2025 through the City of Yuma's Parks and Recreation Division. Classes run for 2 weeks at Marcus Pool in the morning and Carver Pool in the evening. Eligible sessions include guppy and turtle for infants and starfish for preschoolers. To register, visit Yuma Parks and Recreation, call 928-373-5200 or sign up in person at the City of Yuma Parks and Recreation office. Yuma County's Development Services and Public Works departments recently engaged with students through outreach efforts aimed at raising awareness about local careers and community safety. Our Department of Development Services and Engineering Department joined the 4th Avenue Junior High Career Fair, sharing career opportunities in administration, permitting, building safety, and more. Within the same week, Yuma County Public Works participated in National Work Zone Awareness Week, visiting San Luis High School to promote safe driving through work zones. The theme being, respect the zone so we all get home. Both events aim to inspire students and raise awareness about community safety and career opportunities. Before we go, we just wanted to remind you that there's a holiday coming up. Memorial Day is fast approaching, so remember, on Monday, May 26th, most county offices will be closed in observance. We will return on Tuesday, May 27th for our normal business hours. Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Mix. If you'd like to watch past episodes, visit our webpage at yumacountyaz.gov under the VOD section. Thanks for joining us.
And that was the mix. We'll move on to consent calendar. The following items listed under the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion. Unless a board member so requests, in that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. And I have items 1 to 17.
I'd like to pull item 9,
Item
Mr.
number
Chairman.
9. Anybody else? None? Okay. Is there a motion to approve item 1 through 17 with the exception of 9?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve items 1 through 17 except 9. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 9.
Good morning, Chairman Porches, members of the board. Diana Gomez, Director of Public Health. I want to acknowledge Veronica Shore, who's with me here today. She's the Regional Director for the Arizona Community Health Foundation, if you want to come up here with me. And I wanted her to be here to thank her for this generous grant. And many people don't know what our TB program does or how busy it is. But at a time when we're actually looking at funding cuts, it's really important to get this level of community support, and we're incredibly grateful. Our TB program does traditional skin testing We work with schools. We work for people that are contacts to people that have possibly been exposed. When people are trying to do their citizenship, they have to come get screened. TB screening is part of it. We also follow people that are in active treatment, and healthcare students, that are working on their CNA, medical assistants, or nursing, that they're in the programs. We have approximately 90 appointments per week. That's the level of people that we see, that's scheduled appointments. We also do directed therapy, where we go and we make sure we visit people, make sure they're taking their medication. We currently are tracking 6 active cases in our community. And in addition to all that screening, we also work with different organizations like the Crossroad Missions, Transitional Living Recovery Center, Victory Outreach, and Community Medical Services to do screening for people that are going in the shelter or people that are in that process of recovery. So it's a very, very busy office. And I'd like to thank Ms. Shore and the Arizona Community Foundation chapter, and I'll cede the floor to you.
Sure. So the Arizona Community Foundation implements grants into the community that are donor directed, and this specific donor wanted to address health concerns in communities and have entrusted the Arizona Community Foundation to choose quality organizations to give through. So who better than our own local health department? This is, I think, our 3rd year funding this project, so almost $75,000, and we look forward to continuing to partner this TB project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, question. You see on that isolation village?
Yes, we still do.
How many units is that?
Right now we don't have anybody in there. We're doing following 6 cases where they're at the point where they can be back home. That's usually used at the initial of the infectious period to make sure they're isolated, or if they have somebody at home that is at high risk and we don't want to expose them during the active period. But after they've received treatment for a certain amount of time, they're free to continue to go home and continue that treatment at home.
What, four trailers? I think you got 6.
6 cases. Wow.
If I may, I don't know if this is within the agenda, but, you know, feral cats have become an issue in the county, and it's becoming a situation that we can do that later on. I don't want to get involved in this. All right, got it.
You're getting
Thank you very
evil
much.
eye.
It was very good. Talk about the feral cat issue.
Yes, we would love to take a picture.
Hey, we got a picture with the
Yeah,
chat.
we have a chat.
Evil eye.
Yeah.
I'm getting the evil eye from the attorneys already.
Go ahead, guys. I'll stick around. I'll be
I
there.
wanted to bring that up because
Come on, man. Go
I'm
ahead.
coming. I'm coming. I didn't want to pull out my chair when everybody was walking by.
Yeah, this way.
Hey, don't move that way, don't move it.
I don't know. Should they want us to come this way?
Come
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
My wallet's pretty well secured. I don't want to smile too broad.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, we get to keep it? We get to keep it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for all of you do.
No, you don't get away with it.
I'm not moving until I make sure that.
I know, waiting for Lynn's hug.
She's gonna find you.
Thank you, sir.
Don't be just a.
Was she there?
We need a motion.
I know, that's what I mean, she left already. I'll make a motion, we approve item number 9 as presented.
I'll second.
And thank again.
There's a motion and a second to approve item number 9 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
They should have left the check.
Moving on to discussion and action items, the board will open each of the following items separately for discussion and action as appropriate. Item number 1, Public Works, adopt and authorize the chairman to sign resolution number 2025-12 for waste tire tipping fees and operational standards. Kelly?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Kelly Crickey, Public Works Director. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. As you may know, the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, or ADEQ, recently raised the tipping fee rate statewide for for waste tires to $4.66 per tire effective April 1st of this year. In light of this update, we are requesting your approval to adjust Yuma County's tipping fees to align with the state's new rate. It's been over 2 decades since our current waste fees were set, and in that time, both operational costs and disposal volumes have risen considerably. Updating our fees will enable us to continue providing efficient, sustainable waste management for our community, something that we all want for the county. And Yuma County receives waste tires from two primary designations, one being the program tires. These tires come from vendors who sell new motor tires, spent sorry, let me start over. These come from vendors who sell new motor vehicle tires and report them to the state. And vendors collect waste tire fees at the time of the sale, and then they remit those fees back to the state waste tire fund, which is then distributed to the counties on a quarterly basis. A benefit for these vendors is that they receive a 10-cent credit per tire when they're reporting to the state and paying in. Then number 2 is non-program tires. These originate from various sources, primarily used tire vendors who are not registered with the state program and do not generate state funding. And as a result, these are the ones who are subject to the local tipping fees. And we recommend adjusting our fees to match ADEQ's new rate of $4.66 per tire, which will help us in several ways, including covering operational costs that are currently not funded by the state, addressing the rising volume of tire intake, improving recovery and transparency through better tracking and reporting, as recommended by the County Supervisors Association, which I'll refer to later as the CSA. And importantly, residents will still be able to bring up to 5 tires for free at no charge to us. But as you're aware, the state tire funds are no longer sufficient to maintain our program. Last year, in preparation for the 2024 CSA Legislative Policy Summit, we submitted a proposal highlighting several ongoing challenges, including the backlog of waste tires that we have every year, excuse me, the growing volume in incoming tires, the increasing financial burden on the county funds due to the misalignment between funding and actual intake, and the potential environmental risk posed by tire fires. And the CSA approved our study and continued researching these issues statewide and developed a set of recommendations to address the funding gaps and operational inefficiencies. And their report and recommendations was attached to today's agenda. We've already begun implementing some of the recommendations and are planning additional improvements with your support. And with your approval, we can ensure that Yuma County's waste tire program remains viable, efficient, and ready to meet the growing demand. And I thank you for your time, and we're open to questions now.
Mr. Chairman, a question? When I buy a tire from Discount Auto, I know I get charged. I don't remember how much. I just bought one not more than a month ago. But I mean, it seems to me like there's a disconnect between residents and non-residents, because when you ask for a resident, I mean, the person could live here for 6 months and have a bill that shows he's a resident, but he's not. He's from Canada or from North Dakota or South Dakota. How do you go through that residency requirement and shows a different amount? And why can't we do like dealers do, or like tire dealers do, and just charge a flat fee, and hopefully that will cover some of the pitfalls? I know that we can't charge more than the service, but we always end up in a losing end anyway. So why are we not doing it like the private sector does?
Well, currently, we're not checking to see currently who is a resident and who is a non-resident. But with these this new operation, we would want to, if anybody comes into the solid waste transfer site with tires, we would require them to bring a state ID and a utility bill proving that they have residency in the county.
Now, that's okay. I mean, I understand the concept of the process, but charging the same as the state and having a buildup. I mean, here we are dealing with the situation that if we charge too much, they'll dump it in the desert. So we're trying to avoid one or the other. It's still a costly way to look at this thing. And I don't mind saying that the adjustment should be made. I just, 466 seems to me like a number that isn't really gonna cover our cost. Because that may be the state's setup, but it really doesn't cover what it costs us to get rid of a tire. So is this a time where we talk about a flat fee, or is there another time to talk about it? Is there a public meeting that we have to have, a public hearing that we have to discuss? Because I'd like to set them up on a flat fee, like $5, instead of 466. I mean, it doesn't even cover the cost that we have on keeping tires or disposing of them.
Yeah. How many tires do you think that we have in our backlog?
In our backlog, for fiscal year 23-24, we had 137,511. The year before that, we had 206,129 backlog.
And so right now, sitting at our transfer site, what do you think we have? And
Close to the end of the year, so we have 27 something.
does that take into consideration Darren's tires that he stores out in East County?
Darren's got
Oh, don't blame me for that.
He's not even a resident.
Those are all California tires that are being brought in.
Yeah, they are.
That's what you say, but I don't have proof of residence.
Right now, for 24-25, and through the middle part of April, we calculated that we've received over 182,000 tires so far.
No. What I'm saying is this is not solving the problem. This is not even getting close to solving the problem, the cost for the county. And I think every resident here, that every constituent that you guys have worries about at the end and how we spend the money. And this one is gonna cost us to get rid of.
Kelly, the cost you're talking about is what you will receive at the transfer site.
The 466 per tire, yes.
Is that
For residents who go above their 5 allowed free tires, we would charge 466 per tire when they bring them into the transfer station.
because what the state, they're going to 466, that's at the vendors. That's what they're charging the vendors, right?
I have a question. How much does it cost us to take our tires up to that place that recycles them and for us? Or that is the only recycling place in the state?
Yes, it's the only recycling in the state,
Yeah.
and it's $84.75 per ton.
Per ton? How many tires does that?
For instance,
I mean, they all weigh different amounts, so. The ones with, yeah,
tires is 100 tons, 100 tires per ton.
100 tires per ton, okay. And we have 182,000 right now.
right now.
Right now,
Right.
and that's not even of April. And we take as many as we possibly can afford up there to be recycled, correct?
That and as many as they will come and get, because they do service the whole state.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yes.
Now, and that price is different depending on where you're at. I mean, they don't charge the same for Maricopa County, do they, as they do for Yuma? Less.
And I believe it had to do, they were factoring the drive time to where they, if they're further away.
Okay. We pay.
I'll still say that it's either we come up with a way to grind them ourselves, or we come up with a way to take them, to charge what we should charge. Letting people take 4 free tires, 4 or 5, I think it's 5. It's not helping us out. I mean, it's just spreading the cost. And when we do budgets, it'll show.
Kelly, how many roughly tires does the site get from just residents?
Okay, got that right here.
He is prepared.
So we started tracking since July. So from July to now, just at North Gila alone, we brought in 1,870 tires into just the transfer site that they bring in. Across all of the sites, it would be 2,067 tires.
And how do you track, like, let's say if I take 5 tires, then how do you keep a log of, can I go again next month and take another 5 tires, or how is that tracked?
They do keep a log.
Yeah, so we're keeping track on our software. So the guys are trying to do the best they can. It's difficult to try to do that, but we do it best as we can to try to track it. So, they'll write their information down and enter it into the software. And if they bring more than 5, then we'll charge them.
And then the tires that are used from the local tire shops, those ones, they go there too? And those ones, we do charge? They pay the amount, so.
The 466,
okay.
or they would.
So
yeah.
it'll be, okay.
No, I'm just, you admitted that you don't really check residency. So how do you keep track of people? Just write the name?
They keep a log.
So we keep a log, and we will ask to see their ID and a utility bill to verify that they have residency.
Both? Both, okay.
I just think we ought to set a flat fee of $5 for any tire. Is this a public, is there gonna be a public hearing? Or is it just for us?
Just for us.
Bit cheaper than they are.
I would set it at 5.
I would too.
The rest of it, I don't think it matters that much. I don't really remember what the Waystar fee is for.
It was $150.
At the dealer?
For the dealers, it's
Oh,
150?
no, for the dealers, it's 2%.
2% or 266.
But it's going up to 2% or
So what do they charge, actually? I know what they pay, but what do
It's a
they charge?
percentage of the cost of the tire.
So if it costs me $350 to change the tire,
Could we do 2% or $5?
Well, that's the state fee. The state.
So we
sets-
have
How are you
that.
gonna determine the cost of?
We're sitting just at the transfer site there.
I know.
That's
Okay.
what we'll set the price.
So are you okay with,
Yeah, I'm good with 5.
are you okay with the $6 for non-residents?
Yes.
yeah, that's fine. It's a semi-large truck, 7, but just start at 5, 6, 7. It just seems a little odd to charge $466 because it becomes a mathematical problem. Would that be okay? I'll make a motion, we set the waste tire passenger, individual disposal fee of $5 for residents, $5 for residents, $6 for large cars and large, passenger cars and light trucks that are for non-residents, and semi-large trucks at 7, and construction, agriculture, or other at $30 each.
I'll second that.
So,
Do we have to go into the 50 or more? Because I can add to that, the commercial large quantity disposal fee.
we'll just, a resolution, it's a resolution, so, and just.
2015.
Just add the $5, what's amended.
Yeah, we just
$5.
amended to $5 each, at the individual disposal. The rest of them remain the
And all
same.
the remains the same.
And the resolution will be 2025-12. Okay?
And I'll second that one.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve resolution 2025-12 with the amended price of $5. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for doing my cleanup. I wasn't here at the last meeting to thank you personally. So thank you.
And I hope you find a way to prove people's residency.
Moving on to item number 2. Or Ian, can you wait so we can?
Finish up the rest?
Can we come back to that one and
That'll be the last thing, so you have freedom to.
We'll move on to,
We'll get the zoning taken care of. That way the Coopers don't have to wait through the entire presentation.
Without rezoning.
Not dozing off.
Yeah. Jack wants to go back to work.
We'll move on to planning and zoning agenda. Full legal description of the property sites for the rezoning cases are available for public review at the Yuma County Board of Supervisors office. Expedited rezoning and public hearings. These items will be open as a group public hearing and acted upon by one motion to adopt the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission, except for any item that is removed by the board member for separate consideration. The item will be discussed and acted upon separately following action on expedited items. I'll go ahead and open expedited rezoning items number 1, minor amendment case number 25-01, and item number 2, rezoning case number 25-04.
Let me just ask one question. This is the same item, it's just that it needs to go through a minor amendment first before it goes to the rezoning, correct?
Yep.
Okay, all right, got it.
Good morning.
Good morning, Richard Lucia, Senior Planner.
Hey, PowerPoint presentation.
So this minor amendment is a request to change land use designation from agricultural rural preservation to agricultural rural residential. And it's located at 7240 South Avenue 40E in Welton. And the intent is to bring the property into compliance with an appropriate zoning district so they can build a home. This is the site. Oops. This is the site of the property. The underlying land use is agriculture, rural preservation on all adjacent portions of the property. A little bit further to the west is open space and recreational resources. This is an aerial view. The subject parcel is outlined in blue. It's an 11.36 acre parcel that it's undeveloped and accesses off of 40E. The applicant did not provide a site plan. Staff did not receive any comments for or against this proposal, and staff is recommending approval of this request. And for the rezoning case, this is to rezone an 11.36 acre parcel from RA 40 to RA 10. And the intent is to bring the property into compliance with an appropriate zoning district to build a home. Here is the location. It's RA 40 to the north, east, and west, and to the south is RA 20.
Like the area, it really shows the location, because like you can't tell when you see it up in the.
Yeah, well, if
If
you
it
look
isn't
to
3D.
just north, just south of those trees, that's where the mesa drops off.
Yeah, I
It doesn't-
know.
You can't really see it.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell.
Up, and it's where it drops off.
I like the idea, I like the concept.
And what's across the street? What are those trees?
Date palms.
Dates, oh, got it.
down the hill?
Yes, I know where I'm at now.
And staff did not receive anything for or against this request. And we are recommending, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval, subject to the conditions here.
But the applicant's okay with everything, right?
Any questions
I don't have any questions. No.
for staff?
No.
No?
No.
All right. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Thank you. Thank you. Good. And I got 2 speaker forms. There's the items for, if you're ahead, you're okay.
We're in favor. We're actually in escrow to purchase property with intent to eventually build, and we didn't know if there'd be any opposition. And so seeing that the map and the information does share that it's concurrent with what's around there, there's really not an opportunity or use for the property without that, because it adjoins state land and Arizona Game and Fish land. So highest and best use would be to rezone it and have the opportunity for some type of structure on it. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and close anybody else with the public? I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the board.
I'll make a motion, we approve first one, minor amendment case number 25-01 as presented.
I'll second.
Oh,
There's a motion and a second to approve
bipartisan.
minor amendment case number 2501. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Finally, an easy one.
Motion carries.
And then I'll make another motion to approve rezoning case number 25-04 as presented.
Go ahead.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second to approve rezoning case number 25-04. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Just keep your brother out.
Sold.
You're funny.
We'll move on to rezoning, regular public hearing items. Staff will make a full presentation on each of the following items, followed by separate discussion, public hearing, and action by the board. Item number 1, text amendment case number 25-01.
Hello, Richard Munguia, Senior Planner. This is a text amendment that is going to regulate backyard chickens. I presented this to you a couple of meetings ago. There's been no changes since then. If you'd like, I can go over the whole thing, or...
Would you, for the people listening at home, just give us a brief, Mr. Chairman, explanation?
Okay, so this text amendment is mirroring what the ARS has outlined. The state has identified some things that the county can regulate, and so we're mirroring those things. We're also doing a little bit of definition cleanup so that backyard chickens are not listed as fowl anymore, and fowl can be other birds. We're adding another section here.
I just remind everybody, roosters are not chickens.
Roosters are not permitted.
Roosters are not
Roosters
permitted.
are chickens, but with this text amendment,
They're not chickens, they're roosters.
will not be permitted. As it stands right now, they are. So we're adding this section 11.08.19, which is sums up the
You need to go down to the Magnolia area. There's plenty of them.
You know what, let me ask a question that may be a little bit, but we're having problems with bird flu, the bird flu infection.
Okay.
Is there any danger with keeping fowl in the back and having birds come over and?
Probably. I'm not really sure.
I just want to make sure that everybody understands, we gotta keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I agree. Please don't get
Take care of
sick.
your chicken, Tony.
Yeah. No roosters, sorry.
There you go.
Now, I have a question. If people have roosters, you only go after them if somebody complains, correct?
That's
I mean,
correct.
It's not, yeah, okay, good. Thank you.
How do you keep fowl from running at large?
How do you put them in a coop?
Chickens from running at large.
Build
You keep them
coops.
in a coop.
Correct.
Okay, all right, well,
Yes.
all right.
They're running around, you've got
Margie,
chicken for
yeah.
dinner.
Margie down at,
I'm not gonna go right there. I'm just gonna leave it as it is.
Margie down at the Magnolia area has a chicken
I don't
coop.
wanna be chicken, but
They're wonderful.
All right.
Maybe Maggie can come up with some approved chicken coops.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. From the public. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve as presented.
Text case
I'll
number,
second.
text case number 2501.
Yes.
There's
I'll
a
second.
motion and a second to approve text amendment case number 25-01. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Going back to
the budget presentation.
Have a plethora of eggs.
item
Do you?
discussion and
Yeah.
action items, item number
Used
2.
to.
All yours,
Recommended budget
Ian.
for Yuma County fiscal year 2025-26.
I'll remember this, Maggie.
All right, good morning, Chairman Porteous, members of the board, Ian McGahee, County Administrator. This morning, I'm very pleased to present the recommended budget for Yuma County for fiscal year 2025-26. The recommended budget is the result of months of work on the part of staff in the Office of Management and Budget, Financial Services, Human Resources, Administration, and the county's directors and elected officials. And I'm pleased to present the results of these shared efforts. It's a budget that's responsible, fiscally sustainable, and representative of the goals outlined in our strategic plan. So here's an outline of the upcoming process. Today I'm presenting a summary of the recommended budget. Tomorrow the board will hear from departments and agencies and outside parties, elected officials, on how they see their budget and what they like and maybe what they don't like. At the end of tomorrow's budget sessions, the staff would like to hear from the board on any items you'd like to change or add to the budget in preparation for bringing the tentative budget to the board on June 2nd. We'll have the interactive spreadsheet and financial forecasting tools available tomorrow if the board would like to explore any potential options or scenarios. So June 2nd, the board would adopt the tentative budget, which, as you know, is the maximum budget that the board can consider prior to the final adopted budget. And that happens on June 23rd. The board would conduct a combined budget hearing and truth and taxation hearing to adopt that final budget. So the county identified a number of goals going into this budget process. We took a baseline approach, looking at expenditures to determine their necessity and appropriate funding level. We carefully considered all new budget requests with an emphasis on one-time versus ongoing expenses. And we ensured the ongoing stability of all funds in the budget to present this responsible and balanced budget. Among the challenges in preparing the budget were employee attraction and retention, infrastructure and facility needs as we look to update, replace, and remodel aging buildings, economic uncertainty, legislative impacts that affect us every year caused by federal and state legislative actions that directly increase county expenditures, and of course, meeting our budgetary goals while maintaining strong fund balances in all major funds. So this chart summarizes all funds for which the county is responsible, with final appropriations for the next fiscal year compared to the current year's budget. Overall, the recommended budget includes a 4% reduction to total appropriations from the current year's adopted budget. The general fund reflects an overall decrease of about 1.4%, which is primarily due to a reduction in large one-time items. Special revenue includes the jail district, health district, library district, and flood control districts, as well as grant funds. Capital projects includes funding for major multi-year projects, as well as several buildings, including the new admin building across the street, the health district building remodel, and more. Internal service funds with an increase primarily driven by our self-funded employee health plan. And then overall, the recommended budget includes a decrease of just over 4% to total appropriations, again, from the current year's adopted budget. Our major fund of note is the general fund. Revenue categories for the general fund are shown here. As you can see, there are increases projected in state shared sales tax and county sales tax based on the current fiscal year trending, as well as the state's forecast. The changes shown here reflect increases over the current fiscal year adopted budget. We've budgeted minimal growth of 2.5% for local sales tax and have taken the state estimate of 3.7% for state shared sales tax for next fiscal year. As a rule, we always take a conservative approach to estimating revenues. Here you can see our total general fund uses are expected to decrease by about 6.5% next fiscal year. General fund uses are categorized as expenditures, which includes personnel and related expenses, supplies and services, vehicles, equipment, contingencies, transfers out to other funds, and fund balance reserves. This budget includes a 3% performance-based increase in employee compensation as part of a transparent, predictable compensation strategy to recruit and retain a strong workforce. The recommended budget includes a net decrease of 16.125 full-time equivalent positions from all funds compared to the current year. This includes a slight increase of 0.140 in the general fund and a reduction of 16.265 positions in special revenue funds. During the budget process, the budget review team evaluated requests for 28 new positions. No new FTEs are recommended in this budget. The board has been clear that it wants to see the county work leaner and smarter and not default to asking for additional positions, particularly during economic uncertainty. This table shows the detail of the personnel changes for the upcoming budget. The net 0.140 FTEs transferred out of special revenue funds into the general fund is to properly align operations with the appropriate funding sources. The majority of reduced special revenue positions are vacant grant-funded positions whose funding is expiring. There were a total of 11 reclassification requests, with all requests being evaluated by Human Resources, and 10 of those 11 recommended. The overall financial impact is just over $26,000. As you know, reclassifications are used to address situations where a position has grown and the current duties no longer reflect the original job description. Also included in the budget is 40 hours of PTO buyback, the continuation of the loan repayment, tuition reimbursement, and internship programs. The existing general fund projects shown here are recommended for continued funding in the upcoming budget. And I know you've seen details of this budget, so I'm not going to go through each one. I'll leave this and the next couple of screens up a little longer to give you a chance to look at them. And if you have any questions, please let me know. We also have 12 new general fund capital projects in this budget. In special revenue funds, several capital projects are recommended. These include continuing projects in the Highway User Revenue Fund for roads, as well as flood control, library, jail districts, and the TACNA Water Improvement District. These 5 continuing projects for the jail district address a number of issues in that aging detention center to keep the building safe and viable. And here are 3 new special revenue fund capital projects. Okay, let's move on to fund balance. The fund balances for the general fund are shown here. It's important to keep a healthy fund balance in case of emergency or some unexpected reduction in revenues during the course of a fiscal year, so the county can continue to provide needed services to the community. For fiscal year 25-26, we are again recommending a recession contingency for the general fund as a prudent approach to any potential economic downturn. As shown in this chart, the 20% general fund balance appears at the bottom of the bars with the recession contingency in orange above that. And someone told me that's pink. I think it's orange. I don't know.
It looks orange to me.
Okay.
Me too, it looks beige.
This slide shows the fund balances for the library district and flood control. For the library district, a recommended additional recession contingency of $1.5 million is included. The flood control district does not include a recession contingency, as projects are budgeted at the amount needed.
We have no future projects at all?
They're based on the budget that's available. There's plenty of future projects.
Oh, so
It's based on available budget.
And that one out there at Smucker's taking it all.
This slide shows the fund balance for health district and jail district. Both the health district and jail district include a recommended additional recession contingency of $2.5 million. Let's look at proposed tax rates. This budget includes the same general fund tax rate as the current year, no increase. The recommendation for the library district is an increase in operations by nearly 1 cent, but this is offset by a reduction of the same amount in debt service, netting a 0 change in the library's overall rate. The budget recommends the same tax rate as the current year for flood control. So overall, there is no increase to the combined property tax rate for all funds.
Good.
The board has a long history of approving a conservative tax rate, which you can see in this slide. The fiscal year 2025-26 recommended budget includes the same overall tax rate as the last 3 years.
Before you leave that, I like that, but I also think that, you know, we came up with a 10-year plan, you know, where you plug in these numbers and you see what happens in 10 years. And if you see what happens in 10 years, you're going to see that at some particular point, if we don't make some, at least minor changes, and I'm not talking very, if you look at it, we went from a 2.5 to a 2.4. So even that 1 cent makes a lot of difference over 10 years. So I would recommend that as a board, we look at next year's as a possibility if we were saved by all the new construction, really. But we're not gonna have all the new construction all the time. We need to make sure that we look at that objectively.
Depends what recession
Yeah.
does
I think
too.
Tony, Mr. Chairman, Tony was looking at a 0.01 over 4 years, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a potential option that can be explored.
But we never achieved the maximum if you were to look. Do we have more slides of this?
Yes, we do, and in fact, we're getting to what you're.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So as Supervisor Reyes was just about to allude to, the board has adopted a levy well below the allowable amount for the past 13 years, and we're continuing that trend with this budget, the 14th year in a row. So what this chart shows is the property tax levy over the past 17 years in the blue columns compared to the allowable levy in the red lines. So you see it's well below. As reported by the county assessor, the overall net assessed values increased for the next fiscal year by 5.47%, with new construction increasing by more than 107%. Excluding new construction, the assessed value for existing properties increased by 2.34%. So as shown in this chart for the current year, a median home valued at $281,191 paid an annual general fund property tax of $680.65. So if that home increased in assessed value by the average assessor's increase of 2.34%, or just over $6,500, the annual general fund property tax would increase by $15.93. As shown in this chart, for the current year, a median home valued at that same $281,191 paid an annual combined property tax of $998.45. If that same home increased in assessed value by the average assessor's increase of 2.34%, the annual combined property tax would increase by $23.37. And I just want to underscore, it's important to note that these estimates are generated using the property's market value. The actual effect on the taxpayer will depend on the limited cash value assigned by the assessor to each property, which will generally be lower.
Much lower.
Much lower. So here we see the overall property tax impact, including general fund, flood control district, library district operations, and debt service. And again, for that same sample home at full cash value, there would be an increase of $15.93 to the general fund. The flood control district would see an increase of approximately $1.64. The library combined rates would see an increase of $5.80. Again, altogether, there would be an annual overall increase of $23.37, with the total tax rates remaining the same as the current year. And the last slide. This graphic shows the breakdown of what a typical taxpayer might see on their property tax bill. The Yuma County General Fund, Library, and Flood Control districts combined represent a comparatively small portion compared to education-related taxes. That completes my presentation. This is a sound, fiscally sustainable, conservative budget that allows the county to effectively serve our residents, businesses, and visitors in the upcoming fiscal year, and lays a strong financial path for the future. There's no action required today. Again, tomorrow we'll hear from directors and elected officials and outside agencies who receive county funding regarding their budgets. And that concludes my presentation.
Any questions for?
Looks good.
It looks great. I mean, I can feel that I'm honored to be able to look at this and say that over the last 13, 14 years, we haven't really changed much. I just want you to be objective about it. You keep doing this thing without trying to look at 10 years down the road, which I hope I won't be here 10 years down the road, but you have to look at this a little objectively.
Yeah.
And think, okay, well, yeah.
Do we know?
I mean, at least here.
Yeah. Do we know if the other counties, what they're doing on as far as their levy, are they maxing it out? Any of the other counties, or are we just kind of out there by ourselves, keeping it under the maximum? allowed?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah,
We can-
well,
We can look into that.
I tell you what, though.
Just curious, you know.
There's been several counties that have passed, an,
Maximum.
what's it called?
Expenditure limitation, perhaps?
Yeah, to be able to exceed the expenditure limitation, so, because the money's there, we're just. not
And I
allowed
want to
spend
make
it.
sure that you understand, I don't think that in 2 or 3 years you'll see much of a difference. I mean, I think that Yuma County is growing, the pace of growth is basically keeping us out of trouble, but
Mhm.
if there's a point of, there's a actual recession, that the prices go down like it did in 2008, 2009, 2010, then you're in trouble, because you need to make a decision that's a little more
I'm just curious
realistic or pragmatic in that respect.
how we compare to the other counties. I'm just kind of curious on that.
Well, I've always been really proud of the fact that Yuma County is really unique in that respect. I mean, we haven't laid off people, I don't remember ever, for any reason, including the pandemic, which was a time that a lot of people let a lot of people go. We did adjust. It's been a great run. I mean, I like it, but I have to sort of say, well, look, that's why we bought this 10-year projected plan, so that we could look at the impact of what we do now and 10 years on the road. And 10 years on the road, you'll see the numbers start slipping into the negative balance. So you have to
So
be
what are
careful.
you suggesting, Tony?
I'm suggesting that over the years, we take a look at maybe upping our tax revenues by 0.1, 0.01. It's very small,
0.01.
but it means that you'll keep that level over a long time, over 10 years at least.
Mhm.
So just to bring it forth, I mean, it's not that we
Keep
do
an
it this
eye on
year, but keep it in your minds, because economic conditions can change at any time. We're not designed to adapt that quickly, so we need to be a little more preventive than to be, we need to prevent it instead of acting on an emergency
Yeah.
basis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have one of the things that I would like to start seeing or kind of at least planning or putting money aside is we did this probably about seven years ago, like with the vehicles. We started buying vehicles. Tony used to like to buy them one at a time every year. Sometimes they couldn't. But I think like with personnel, but mainly for sheriffs and other departments that are that we rely on having personnel to get things done faster, that actually involves, well, administration with other departments, that we need answers fast or within 3 days or 2 days. I would like to start looking at that, especially with officers, because like Tony says, if the county is growing, we're gonna need more officers out there.
Well, and not necessarily officers too. Need to look at the officers, but like public works, keeping the roads up, animal control.
I was heading there for roads.
Yeah, but animal control.
Yeah.
Because that's getting to be a very
Oh,
large
man, that's
issue.
getting to be a.
But just, things that, departments that deal directly with
The public.
issues that the public has now, not down the road.
Such as
We're
feral cats.
setting, what do you want to do? You want to set aside money for that?
So we'll start planning, at least what, from the budget every year, maybe 1 or 2 positions, or, because, I mean, we've done it with the salaries. We did the study and all that. I think if we want to continue that, but also we can't disregard what's happening outside. And on the roads, it's just, well, roads, public works, we need to start investing more. I want to be able to respond to our residents, well, yeah, you've probably been given so much money in raises, throughout all these years, but what about the roads?
Service, and what about,
And I just think we need to be on top of that too. So even if we have start looking or raising it 0.01, like Tony said,
Tony said.
but we need to start addressing that.
One comment, having a plan, Mr. Chairman. One comment. I mentioned feral cats earlier, but because I thought, okay, well, it wasn't the right time. It really wasn't the right time. And this may not be the right time to consider an issue, but we're talking about roads, we're talking about future. And I think that considering the fact that that's becoming a very difficult situation to handle, because we're asking people to participate. I feel it's like with the police department, and you need to have people participation and for the program to work. But I think asking the population to handle it themselves is not working out too well. I just ran over 3 cats this morning that were dead already. But, that's really,
Within the city or the county?
They were out in the county. The city has got a problem, but the health department, or the Humane Society won't handle it the way that most people would think we would handle it. We have an infestation, and people don't realize that it's just a matter of bringing them in and spade him and then putting him back, because in reality, it's a growth that it's like a rat infestation in New York City. To me, a cat infestation is about the same way. I'm not going to say it.
Maybe we could combine them and have the.
Oh,
cats
I think
eat
that we
them.
need to start looking at the program as
I
a
have to tell
program.
you, the health department has really worked hard to get grants to do spade and neutering. And they have them on a regular basis where you can trap those cats, and they'll even loan you the cages to do it. And trap those cats and get them fixed. So.
Yeah, well, I think we need to
I have 9
advertise
then.
that. We need to advertise that more, and we need to provide more, what do you call them, cages, and we need to have people be able to call in and say, look, I got this problem in the neighborhood, can you guys help out? And then have us go in there and help them out. Because if we leave it in the hands of the people.
So what you're saying, should we start?
We should start doing a little more.
Planning
Well,
to invest a little bit more for.
I have to say, I've helped several, well, not several, but a couple of residents with issues with, subdivisions where somebody's feeding a whole bunch of cats, but they're not getting them fixed, and it's deteriorating the property value of the person next door and the health of that person next door. So, and the Humane Society came in, and their community person went out and talked to both people and got, and they are doing, what I'm trying to say is they are doing some outreach, and they are trying to help folks, because it's not a cat community if you're not getting them fixed. You're not allowed to feed them if you're
I just
not
want to make
willing
sure
get
that
them
we
fixed.
understand, it's not just the community, it becomes an issue for the health department,
Mhm.
we as a county, and when the chairman asks, is it within the city or outside the city, I think the health department and the collection of cats and so forth, it's more of a health issue. It becomes more of our issue when it starts to get really out of hand. By then, it's a little late. I think we need to have some prevention. We need to have some programs that helps out. And I'm not talking about a big, huge program. I'm talking about a program that still relies a little bit on the people's participation, but not so much in them collecting or putting gate.
Are you talking about euthanasia,
No, I think we just start planning for investing a little bit more. I mean,
Okay.
we that's all we can do, we can't.
Well, then
you
we
know,
need to
unless-
look at a 0.01% increase in the next
So,
year or so.
Right, got it. Thank you. That was a very good presentation.
Or a gas tax. Put it on the ballot and have a 0.5 cent gas
Is
tax.
gas on or what?
Huh?
No, the chairman's being fun. You took gas. No.
It went over my head.
It went over your head.
I missed
No,
it.
this is not a
Sorry, I
gas tax,
missed
it's a
it.
toxic gas.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. It's too early. Come
Wear
on,
my
get
hearing
to the
aids.
next one. You don't need any action from us, it's just a presentation, so let's get to the legislative update.
All right, let's go back to
Legislative.
We'll keep going, moving on to, discussion and regarding legislative issues. Item number 1. Alejandro.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Alejandro Figueroa, Economic Development and Intergovernmental Affairs. We'll start with the state. We've been in session for more than 113 days, more than 1,600 bills posted. Believe it or not, this is not a record-breaking session. Back in 2023, 2021, it was even more bills. As you probably noticed, we did not meet the goal of adjourning by April 26th, as they initially had planned for. So business returned back to normal last week after the forced pause due to the Department of Developmental Disabilities controversy, with many bills moving out of the legislature up to the governor's office. So we will likely see the House and the Senate push through most of the bill work this week, and then things will pause as budget negotiations begin. Similar to the last few years, there's a belief that the House and the Senate may take prolonged recesses as opposed to forcing members to come in each weekday for minimal floor work.
So you're trying to be French or the recess?
Recess. Recesses, yes.
You try to use a little French there?
I can speak French if you want me to.
Mr. Chair, Alejandro, their per diem has gone down after the 100th day. Am I correct?
Yes.
Or the 120th day? Yeah. And so people who are coming in, yeah, if they're not doing any work, it seems ridiculous.
And that's part of the reason they're taking the break, a recess from work on weekdays. And as far as the budget, with the DDD supplemental appropriation not resolved, gears should be shifting towards negotiating a fiscal year 2026 state budget. Although people suggest that no conversations between the legislative and the executive branch have transpired so far, meaning that we are unlikely to see a budget for quite some time, unfortunately. Double-sided. There we go. So in March 2025, general fund revenues reached $1.10 billion, marking a year-over-year increase of 2.2% compared to March of last year. This demonstrates some growth in Arizona's economy. While revenues came in below the January baseline forecast by $45 million, this variance was distributed evenly across the state's three primary revenue streams: sales, individual income, and corporate income tax. Just a quick update on some of the key bills we're watching. SB 1212 biosolids, land application immunity. And I want to thank Department of Development Services and especially Supervisor Pancrasi for her support on this bill. We remain neutral so far. So the biosolid regulation bill, it's most of Yuma County's amendments requests were included in the Senate. We have requested 2 additional amendments to be made in the House. ADQ and the State Land Department also requested some additional amendments. Another stakeholder meeting was held last week to figure out an amendment that might appease all parties, but we're very far from reaching an agreement at this point in time. We've asked for ADQ to consider doing a comprehensive report on this issue, including both water and air quality divisions. As far as the SB Senate Bill 1661, Broadband Service District Authority, which the board is supporting, and we have just submitted a letter of support to Senator Tim Dunn right now this morning, and to the entire House supporting this bill. It allows a group of individuals, businesses, and organizations in the county with a population of between 200,000 and 210,000 to form a broadband authority district and prescribes the powers and duties of a district. Unfortunately, the bill had failed when it first came to the House due to this issue with Department of Developmental Disabilities, but now we're expecting it to go to the floor today and hopefully get the support from the House members on both sides of the aisle. And the third bill, which is HB 2033, Strike Everything Amendment, the instant solar permitting. It requires the municipalities and counties by January 1st, 2027 to adopt an online instant permitting process for home power installations. Requires counties to provide an option for home power building inspections for a single family or 2-family dwelling to be performed through a single remote field report. It authorizes counties that find that an exception is necessary to protect the public's health and safety to exempt certain categories of home power building inspections from being performed through a single remote field report. It also requires counties to readopt exception resolutions for every 2 years and submit a compliance report with the Secretary of State. It authorizes counties to delay implementation until June 30th, 2028, And we are currently opposing this bill, and I want to thank especially Vice Chairman Lyons and Supervisor Pancrasi for getting activated on this bill and reaching out to both sides of the aisle and explaining to them how difficult it is for us to approve something that it's not needed in Yuma County. We're, according to DDS, we're approving those solar permits in less than a week for the most part, in the vast majority of cases. And this is just an overstep from the state, and it's an unfunded mandate for the county.
Mr. Chair and Alejandro, another thing that has to do with this instant solar permitting is we have, in rural Arizona, we have a lot of fly-by-night folks that come out and we need to make sure that the Department of Developmental Services they're able to oversee the permitting and the certification of solar that's going up on residential homes. So, and this would prevent them from being able to do that.
Yeah,
That's a big concern of mine is, and the elderly are the ones that are being.
Usually end up
being victims, so.
It's just so the board knows, the CSA-LPC, the Legislative Policy Committee meeting, voted against it, voted to oppose it last week, so that's great news for us in the opposing side. So the bill was placed on additional calendar to be further amended. And we'll see what happens with it going forward. We haven't seen anything indicating that it's going to be placed back, but we never know. It could happen, but we're going to be ready for that. On the federal side, on April 30th, U.S. Representatives Dave Taylor from Ohio and Eric Sorensen from Illinois introduced a Rural Broadband Assistance Act. It's a bipartisan legislation aiming to improve access to federal broadband programs by funding technical assistance for rural communities. The bill provides counties with vital support to help navigate complex broadband funding processes and expand high-speed internet access in communities across rural America. The act would codify the Broadband Technical Assistance Program, established in 2021 and administered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and the act, or the BTA, Technical Assistance Program, provides grants to counties and other rural development partners to assist rural communities in accessing existing broadband funding programs. The program offers grants and cooperative agreements to provide broadband needs assessments and feasibility studies, project planning, engineering, and design. Chairman, that will conclude my presentation to the board today. Happy to answer any questions.
For Alejandro? Nope. Thank you, Alejandro.
Thank you, Alejandro. And thank you very much that we had a Zoom meeting for the LPC and Alejandro was there to make sure it was all set up for me and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Current events.
Okay. I attended the roundtable for the Yuma area municipal water, and there were presentations from Cocopah, Quichan, Somerton, San Luis, Yuma, and Welton. And I have to say the Quichan water person did an outstanding job of presenting what they're doing in their work with the Bard Irrigation District and how they're cementing their canals and doing all kinds of innovative things over there that are very much appreciated. I attended the ACO Board of Directors meeting. I attended the NACO Ag Steering Committee meeting. I attended the budget meeting for a budget meeting that we had upstairs. I attended CSA and Yuma County for the Legislative Summit, a meeting with folks. I attended the CSA LPC briefing and the CSA LPC meeting. So.
Thank you, Lynn.
Attended the water meeting with Lynn, and then had a budget meeting, and then several constituent calls regarding trash. Spent a lot of time with Alejandro this week, making phone calls on the solar and the mesh network.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Welcome. And I think I spoke to almost all legislators last week.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Hopefully they understand.
The majority.
The majority, yeah, yeah. Yeah, lots of meetings.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Attended an event out at YPG. I met with Colonel Nelson. We talked about the Highway 95 project and the roundabouts that they're wanting to put in there at Imperial and Aberdeen roads. I've got a follow-up meeting with ADOT this week to discuss them. YMPO meeting, held a community meeting out in the foothills. Then usually it kind of starts slowing down. I had about 80 people
Oh, wow.
at that, and that's pretty much where it is every time. So getting a lot of year-round people that are coming. Met with Diana and the SO and Ian. We were talking about reference animal control issues and trying to get those figured out where we have a better response and handle on dealing with calls as they come in from the public. Attended the budget briefing. Had a pleasure of attending a ribbon cutting out of the new solar farm in the foothills that Cube Energy put in. It's a heck of a system out there. Numerous other meetings with people, constituents and stuff, and just want to remind everybody, we're warming up. Watch your kids around water. Utilize the local pools and stay out of the canals, because they may look very calm and cooling, but there are currents underneath those waters, and they will take you.
It's the swimming lessons.
Yes, so just be very careful with the temperatures warming up, and people are going to start swimming more.
Attended the Great Yuma Port Authority meeting in San Luis. Also had a kind of a meeting of people who cross the border all the time, logistic people. It wasn't attended by the port director, which was let down, but attended a lot of meetings with constituents, especially from Gaston, which is weird because, you know, normally that's like a seasonal thing. But I'm glad to find out that there's some things going on. Attended the budget hearings here that we had. It's very informative, very, very good. Very well, good presentation. I want to thank the DRT for the work. I mean, it's a lot of work that only shows up a couple of times a year, and so it makes it seem like it's just a one-time deal, but I know it's 6 months worth of work, 7 months worth of work, so thanks a lot. And a lot of constituency meetings. Thank you.
Fresh.
Well, attended the budget meeting, which was really good. I was had a question, but totally forgot. Well, anyways, I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Chairman. We had our quarterly management team meeting, attended, excuse me, a couple of meetings of the Joint Land Use Plan Steering Committee, Arizona at Work monthly meeting, met with Tanya Hodges from WICITA, gave a little introduction to the measles tabletop exercise with different schools, hospitals, healthcare providers. Somerton City and Deputy Manager met with Deputy County Administrator Josh Scott and myself, talk about shared issues of concern. WICIPTA Board of Directors meeting, and just a reminder again, tomorrow's 9 a.m. board meeting with.
What?
What?
Are you sure?
Right.
All right, meeting adjourned.
As well.